Just, are we slowing down?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think if we want to go ahead and get started, Elaine.
Yes, good evening, my dear Mount Hope families. Such a blessing to see you out tonight joining us. I'm really happy that school is opening next week. We're excited to see the children. We're excited we're in the classrooms getting ready and decorating and get the lessons ready, the plans for in season, in school and out of school. I want to take a moment this evening and offer up a prayer to the Lord. Bless our beginning of our school year. Heavenly Father, we come down before you and we come before you, Lord, and ask you for Father favor this year. Father, I ask for favor on each family represented here. I ask for good health. I ask that their child or children may have a blessed year, Father, as they come into a brand new beginning. I ask, Lord, that it's like they never missed a beat. I ask, Father, that they come back in and socialize, Father, with other children. Father, a much needed skill. And God, we lift you up over the school. We ask you to keep us safe, keep us well, Father, as families. Father, and we lift it all up to you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you.
All right, so I have just a couple of slides to share before we get started. The first is just some school dates. There have been a lot of questions for clarifications. So I just want to go over this really quick. September 1st, so next week, September 1st and 3rd, are early childhood Get Acquainted days. You'll get more information on that tomorrow morning. An email will go out with a link to a Sign Up Genius where you can sign up for the times that you want to come in. September 2nd is Kindergarten Get Acquainted Day. You should already have the link to go ahead and sign up on Sign Up Genius for an appointment to come in. September 2nd, elementary school begins with for 1st grade through 5th grade with a half day. I did not specify that on this week's email, and there were a couple of questions for clarification. And these are the same dates that are on the school calendar, but there was some confusion because I didn't put that on the email this week. September 3rd is the first day of kindergarten with a noon dismissal. September 3rd is also the first day for our toddler program. September 4th is, again, a kindergarten noon dismissal. And then Monday, September 7th is Labor Day. There is no school. And our preschool program begins on September 8th. So again, these are the same dates that are on the school calendar. You can find the school calendar in your resource documents on Parent Portal, and it's also on the website. So we're gonna go through, we got a number of questions. We're gonna go through, sort of read off the questions and give you the answers. If you have additional questions at the end, I'll open up the chat so that you can type in your questions. And again, we just ask that you be mindful that these are public questions. Everybody can see it, and to refrain from using names. So here we go, let's get started. Stop sharing. Okay. Well, let's jump right in. So the first group of questions are more or less COVID specific questions that we've put together here. So the first is, if the school learns of a possible sickness after hours, how will parents be notified of a potential COVID case? The question was, is it similar to a snow day, phone call, and email? And yes, we will use our parent alert system. So just like you get notified of a school day, if there were any information that we need to get to you, that's how it will happen. We find that that is the fastest way for us to get information to you. And it will not be with just one method. We'll usually double or triple up on that. How can a parent notify the school of a potential COVID sickness after hours? So obviously the COVID form is in the morning. So if it's after hours, Jessica, could you speak into that?
So myself, Mrs. Trugy, and Mrs. Driscoll, you can email us at any point. in the evening or the weekend or whatever it may be. All of our emails are listed on the website, but with our first initial, last name, and all at mountainhope.org. So you can email all three of us, one of us, whatever works best for you. In addition to your classroom teacher, that'd be helpful as well, or as many of us as you want. I think that'd probably be the best idea, so that we make sure we get that message before the next start of school day. We also check our emails before school begins too. So that would probably be the best way to contact somebody when we're not in the building.
Thank you. Okay, what is the process to notify parents to pick up all children because they've learned of a potential COVID case? Basically, a parent alert will go out to the classroom. The exact procedure will depend upon the situation. So if the child is present, that child would be in a safe area, isolated from the rest of the class, and then the classroom would be closed for cleaning. As for specific information, you will know which classroom it is, but we will not release names. We never have in any situations, and we won't. So you won't know who it is, but we will tell you the classroom. And basically, we're going to assume that everyone in the classroom has been within 6 feet of their classmates. So that's that. What happens if a teacher calls out sick, but not for COVID? Who will substitute for the teacher? Sue Trugy, could I ask you to speak into that one?
Sure. We have available many substitute teachers that are within our program and are within our classrooms on a daily basis that we can call upon to substitute. The classrooms that have assistants with them, the assistant actually moves up to be the teacher, and somebody else would be another qualified person that is familiar with the school would be put in if need be.
And the question was asked of whether or not parents would be informed if there was a substitute. Sorry, go ahead, Sue.
Well, no, I don't think we would inform them. It's almost too late to inform them. Sometimes I don't know when I'm replacing somebody until 7:30 in the morning. And in past years, we've never informed a parent if there was a teacher out and there was a substitute. So I think that's appropriate at this time.
Okay. What is the procedure if a staff member that is not a teacher may be infected? Will the whole school be notified? Yes, you'll be notified if there's a chance that the students have been exposed to that person. Again, everything goes back to the Board of Health and what their latest and greatest information is. The last we were told is that in order for it to be considered that a person could have contaminated another person, they need to be in their vicinity for 15 minutes. So as far as like office staff standing in the hallway as children walk by, the chance of contamination is very, very, very minimal. And again, that if that changes, then we would obviously change with it. But that is what we have been told. So you would be told if you needed to be. Will teachers help wear masks for preschoolers? Sue, do you want to speak to the preschooler questions?
Sure. Will teachers help wear? The teachers will be wearing masks in the preschool classrooms. As far as our EEC guidelines go, the children are encouraged to wear masks, but it's not required to wear masks. They will come with masks on them that would have been provided on them with the parents. And if they had trouble within the day, I think we could help them with it. If they just choose not to wear it, they will not be required to wear it. Does that answer that question?
Yeah,
but we will be helping them. We will be helping them.
Yeah. And I know that there is some signage and curriculum and stuff involved that is going to help to make the children a little more comfortable with that.
And sometimes if the parents want to practice at home wearing them, that's okay too, to get them used to it. So that would be helpful too.
Okay. There's a question, if there's a potential case in a particular classroom, will only the cohort or half the class be advised, or will the whole classroom be advised? And then also the second part of that is, would the whole class be required to quarantine? The whole class will be notified of the potential case and how to proceed. And again, that's gonna be something that we need to find out what the Board of Health of the town of the person, where the person lives, and then also Burlington Board of Health. So that is something that comes from them, and we would follow whatever those guidelines are. It would be helpful to give give the parents a list of scenarios under which they notify the school of potential COVID contagion. I know you mentioned primary and secondary contact, but I'm not sure that's clear enough for all. So they provided this example. If someone in the child's household, for example, parent, sibling, grandparent, etc., so if that person has been in contact, then that is a secondary contact. And if it is the child who is the direct contact, then that is a primary contact. I can't say that fast. So I hope that clears it up for you guys. And again, we can go over that if anybody has any specific questions. And once again, Board of Health is going to dictate how we handle that. If a class is closed for 2 weeks because a student in the class tested positive, what about sibling classes of other students in the infected classroom? Kristen Baker, could you help us with that one? Is she here?
She's muted.
She is muted.
You have to do it.
If she is not able to unmute, hold on one second. There she is.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, now I muted you again. I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute you and I muted you instead.
So let me just reread this. Sorry. The
That's
muting
okay.
threw me off.
I had asked if a class was closed for 2 weeks because a student in the class had tested positive. What about the sibling classes of the infected?
So if a student tests positive, then a sibling of that student is a primary contact and they have to self-quarantine, but the children in the siblings classroom are secondary contacts. So they would be monitoring themselves for any symptoms and then reporting the symptoms to us and their local Board of Health accordingly. But they would not have to immediately self-quarantine.
Okay, great. If a child is suspected to be sick while in school, what type of thermometer is used? So we use the iHealth PT3 infrared no-touch thermometer. That is the one that we have chosen. It is the one that you can point at the forehead, but we have also found in our testing that we can also get the same reading off the wrist. So I know that some people are concerned about the forehead reading, so we would aim for the wrist as well. Let's see. Will parents be able to accompany a child to preschool on the first couple of days so the child does not become overwhelmed? Sue, can you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we can't allow any parents in the building when school is in session. The Get Acquainted days are for parents and children to kind of see the classroom, see some of the procedures, get a schedule, see the door that they're going to be entering. But the parents would have to park their car and drive up and walk up to the appropriate classroom door, which will be all labeled with signs on them for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take any pictures that day outside if you'd like for the first day. But that's what we can do so far.
Yeah. All right. Other private schools are taking each child's temperature at drop-off. Is this something Mount Hope would be willing to do? So our staff temperatures are checked every day by us in the building. And then it says, if not, are parents being asked to check their child's temperature? So the COVID web form that you got has been updated. Kristen Baker, could you speak into that a little bit? And also maybe explain again how they get to that form?
Okay, so the one we showed a few weeks ago is much more simple now. So the first question, it does ask you to input daily your child's temperature. So you would take it every morning and then put that number in. And then it asks the same question, both for your child and the family, and you would just click that none of those symptoms apply to your child or anybody in your family. The way to access it is to go to your family portal under the Parents Web, and then you would, I think we're going to click Family, and then Web Forms, and it says COVID Screening Family. And then it will list each of your children individually, and you would have to do it for them individually, and we'll still get a timestamp report, but it's just a much simpler process. Unfortunately, though, if you do have an Android mobile phone, there are some glitches within RenWeb system, so you would have to go on to a desktop to complete the web form. But we plan to be in contact with RenWeb to see if there's something we can do to make it uniform across all of the mobile devices.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Will teachers be in contact with other teachers or staff not part of the classroom? Jessica, could you elaborate on that one?
Sure. Our goal is to have minimal contact other than the children that are assigned, the teachers that are assigned to your children's room. Otherwise, other than that, the rest of us, even office staff, we are going to be utilizing, we have a walkie-talkie system to get messages to and from the room, really trying to minimize even us walking down the hallways going into children's classrooms. So the answer is, primarily who your child will see is just maybe the teacher, assistant, whoever's in your child's classroom on a daily basis. It will be rare if somebody else has to go to the room. And if we do have appropriate PPE for us before we enter that room: gowns, gloves, face shields. And when the teachers meet, which our teachers do meet regularly together, we are doing those virtually with our teachers and assistants as well, so that we can maintain that distance throughout the school year.
Thank you. And the only other thing that I would add to that, only because it was part of another question that we don't have to answer because I think you just did, is that we will also be logging people in. So if any person other than the staff in that room needs to enter a room, they will be logging in that they went into that room, so that if down the line there was ever any question, we know exactly who's been in contact with the occupants of each room. Let's see. With the kids on one side of the classroom, will the kids on one side of the classroom ever be exposed to the other side? In other words, if my child is in a class of 8, is it really 16 because she's exposed to the other 8 regularly? So this pertains to our preschool classes. And so, Sue, I'm going to ask you to speak into this one again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here we go again. Because there's so many changes with EEC, we try to stay updated daily, which this is a new change that has come to our table. Children in our preschool classes are allowed by EEC to be up to 20 students according to the new guidelines and our square footage per child. We will divide the class to minimize physical proximity, but the 2 sides do occupy the same classroom, but not the same activities. And we strive to keep the numbers under 18, which would be 9 and 9, and some are a lot less than that, but that would be our maximum. And we do strive to keep them separate. So, there'll be 2 teachers in the room, and 1 teacher will take care of one child, one classroom, and one group size, and the other group size, as far as washing hands and bathroom and going out to recess. And we will all strive to keep them all socially distanced, 6 feet apart. And we'll have a couple of lessons on that, of what that means to stay like that, and keeping our bodies apart keeps us healthy.
And so I think that that sort of leads into the next question, Sue, which is what does play look like this year?
Play, okay. Two things with play. Again, we will talk about keeping our bodies away from other bodies and us stay healthy. We're going to be able to show them what 6 feet looks like with either a tape measure or some papers or some blocks or something like that, just to get them aware of what 6 feet is. They're only little. They don't really know what that is, you know, but there's things that we can do to play out at recess, the many different things, running, and we can play games. Within the classroom, the activities, we'll take turns going into the house corner, we'll take turns at the train table. Things can be wiped down in between. We'll have music and movement in the classroom also. Just different activities that will keep them having some fun. It is going to be a fun year. It really is. So.
Absolutely. Okay, will the entire class be notified if there is a positive case, or are you following the new DESE guidelines of somehow only alerting the kids' families who were within 6 feet of the child who tested positive? We'll notify the whole class. We can only assume that if they're in the same classroom, they have been in contact to some degree. With many schools requiring kindergarten students to wear masks in the classroom, what was the reasoning for not following the same requirement at Mount Hope? Elaine, could I ask you to speak into that one?
Let's speak into that, Pam. We have the students very spread out. They're now in 3 kindergarten classrooms with 10 children in each class, which allows the students, the room, not to have to wear a mask. It's encouraged, it's not required. The elementary students from grade 1 on up are wearing masks, but 2 on up, it's required. So kindergarten being down at the preschool wing, we're following the same set of guidelines.
Great, thank you. Will kids be able to spend extra time outside or have classes outside like Mass is recommending? The answer to that is yes, as much as possible. We actually have had landscapers in this week to clear some more of our outdoor spaces and get them ready for classes to be able to occupy our outdoor spaces. You may or may not know if you're familiar with the building, but we have kind of that wooded area behind the school. We've had them clear out some of the areas closest to the building so that classrooms can use some space out back as well. Will all kids, even below 1st grade, have to wear masks in hallways and during drop-off and pickup? Jessica, can I ask you to take that one?
So for kindergarten, it's same as preschool. It is not required, but we are we can recommend it for the kindergartners to do that. But like I said, we're not requiring it, but we are strongly recommending, especially if you want to do it during the drop-off pickup time, as they're going through the building to get to their classroom.
Good, thank you. Will kids be around any other adults other than their 2 teachers? So that, I think, is what Jessica had already kind of covered, saying, you know, we're not going to be going in the classrooms and all that. So we are going to move on to questions that are a little more geared to cleaning. Daily cleaning, they're asking, and Kristen, I'm going to kind of direct these at you, so I'll fire them off and you can sort of respond. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because you're the queen of this. What in the classroom will be cleaned every day?
So we have all surfaces, but everything. So groups of toys in between the groups of children, all tables, hard surfaces. The goal is to not have shared supplies, but if there were to be shared supplies, those would be cleaned in between the children. Lots of cleaning all day, deeper cleaning and disinfecting at night. So just everything all day.
And it asks for deep cleaning. How often is the classroom deep cleaned?
So I know we have our new cleaning company that's coming every night. Every teacher, every day will spray surfaces down at the end of the day with a 10-minute set time. Disinfectant also, so anything that may have been used during the day that maybe was used with one group that was set aside so that the teacher has more time with your child, that all of those things will be sprayed down, all hard surfaces, doorknobs, and everything daily at the end of the day. And we do have a shorter set time for during the day types of things that are, and the one for during the day is touch safe for your children. It's made with the touch in mind.
Great. And what about cleaning after a suspected COVID infection? How will the classroom be cleaned after a suspected contagion?
So the classroom will be fogged, kind of defogged, with a disinfectant upon the suspected contagion. And then if there is a test that comes back positive, we'll have an outside professional team come in to really clean and disinfect that space.
Great, thank you. All right, this next section is specifically on drop-off and pickup. So this has been a big question. We've gotten quite a few of this one. Can we park and walk our elementary kids up to the front door? Or do we need to do the drive-through drop-off? Jessica?
Yes. So in years past, we have kind of given parents both options. This year, we really are asking you, and we prefer that you do use the drive up to drop off your children. Our goal is just to keep everybody safe, to minimize the amount of people that we are exposing the children to, other staff to. So our preferred method for drop off for K through 5 is to use the drop off line.
Okay. And in that drive-through, do the parents get them out of the car, or will the teacher unbuckle them and get them out, Jessica?
Yeah, so this is really new for any kindergarten family, especially if you were in our preschool prior, or maybe you're a new family. So when you drive up, the child or you, however you need to get it done, needs to be unbuckled. And we cannot, just for liability reasons, our staff members are not allowed to unbuckle or buckle children at the end of the day. So something to work on with your kids, perhaps, the next couple of days to see, to help them get unbuckled in the car. We do ask that the child comes through the door where the staff member is standing. So when they're coming out the back seat, that they're not heading out on the driver's side door, because if other cars are driving, we're just trying to keep everybody safe. This has always been a thing. So we continue to ask you to have them go through that passenger side on the back, obviously, door. That way they're right at the sidewalk and we can get them into the building quickly.
Great, thank you. And then what staff member will pick up the children at the door? Is it the child's actual teacher or someone else? And I think, Jessica, if you could speak to the elementary procedure, and then I'm going to ask Sue to speak to the preschool procedure.
Yep. So elementary students will walk to their classroom with supervision on their own, with the exception of kindergarten. Kindergarten has to go the opposite direction of our 1 through 4. So our kindergarten assistants will be assisting with that, waiting maybe for a few students before they get them down to the room as well, and making multiple trips to get them down. We'll have several, so we're gonna, like I mentioned, we've mentioned in the past meeting that we'll have staff members at the door, in the hallway. We are really well covered, trying to make sure that the kids are in contact with an adult, if, especially for a kindergartner who doesn't know where they're going. And for the first few days of school, obviously, as the 1st through 4th graders get accustomed to their new classrooms as well, helping them get to the right door.
Great, thank you. And Sue, if you could speak to the preschool.
Sure. As far as the preschool goes, the parents will have to park the car and bring your child to the appropriate door. There will be line marking 6 feet apart, just in case there is a little bit of a backup. As far as the children that are in the pink room, will go to the door that is near the playground, and there will be a sign on it that says pink room. They will go through that door directly into the classroom, and there'll be things on the table for them to get themselves involved with. That'll be for all the classes. The toddlers are going to have a temporary room, classroom for a little while, and they will also go in that door and take a sharp left and go right into their classroom. The purple room will go in the next door by the playground, and will have, it will be labeled purple room, and the parent will walk up to the steps, and the child will go into the classroom and see their teacher. The two teachers will be there, and they'll eventually go down to their classroom. And the red room and the green room are going to enter the regular preschool door that you would have entered last year. And the teachers will be waiting there, and there'll be other people there willing to help the children. And upon arrival, then they'll wash their hands and get ready for the day.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about is remote learning. The question is, will there be remote learning opportunities for classes that close for 2 weeks, or if the school closes entirely? And then the next question after that one is, if the class goes to remote learning, how many hours of instruction per day, and how many for preschool and how many for elementary? So Elaine, could you speak about remote learning?
Yes, I will, Deb. There will be remote opportunities for all children who go out for 2 weeks. The whole classroom is going out. Teachers are already prepared with their COVID bags of 2 weeks worth of curriculum. So that will be in place immediately the next day. Hours of instruction, asynchronous learning is 180 to 240 minutes of asynchronous learning. Now, I've asked our staff to get us a schedule, and Mrs. Bishop and I are taking a look at that schedule right now, and that schedule looks like 8:30, school starts. 8:45, the child goes into ELA. 9 o'clock, the children do this. 9:30, they get a snack break. So irregardless of the 180 to 240 minutes, the children will be with their teachers the majority of the day.
Okay, great. The other question is, will we use Google Classroom given that Zoom has many security and privacy concerns? So we have the highest security settings possible in place to protect our meetings. We use the waiting room, we use passwords. So, and our staff have been alerted to exactly what to do should something go wrong. You just, to end the meeting for everyone immediately. So at this time, we feel confident with Zoom. We're comfortable with it. If we needed to, we could certainly use Google. I believe is it Google Meetup, Jessica? Is that the, okay. But at this time, the plan is to stick with Zoom. And then people have been asking about an online option and why we didn't have an online choice in place. So Jessica, if I could ask you as our Director of Admissions to speak into that, please.
So one of the way we started, and we've been working on this for months now, was in our early survey to our parents. And what we found in that survey was that the online or the hybrid option that we put out there received a very low percentage. I think it's a 13.4% asked for that online option or remote option, or hybrid, I should say. And so we focused a lot of our effort into that full return, and that received a much higher percentage. So that is what we felt that our families wanted. It's not that we've we are looking into it. We've been working with looking at remote learning and having that. But a lot of our focus attention, all of our focus attention right now is opening the doors and returning fully to the school year next week. So that is why and Ms. Driscoll, go ahead.
Yes, we also have the room, public schools have a lot more students to transplant from home to school. we have the space to do this safely. And that's when we decided, number one, you didn't want the hybrid as an option at that point in time. But number two, we have the space. Our classrooms are large. And we can separate our children with the distance. And some classrooms have 2 rooms, so that the children are safe while they're eating or doing extraneous activities. So that was the reason we didn't plan a hybrid program. There was no need to at Mount Hope. We have the space to do what we do.
And just to review, if people are unaware of this, we have 3 kindergarten classrooms this year for 30 children. Normally that would be 2 classrooms, but we decided to give it a 3rd classroom, put 10 kids in each room. Same with 1st grade, our numbers are only about 10 and 10 each. 2nd and 3rd are at about 15 and 16, but 2nd grade is in 2 side-by-side classrooms, same with 3rd. 4th is a small classroom under 10. In 5th grade, we've given the entire FLC to the 5th grade to have that 6-foot spacing. So we really tried to utilize every square inch that we could to have the children spread out.
Great, thank you. The next topic we're going to move into is more in the classrooms. So the first question is, will children need to bring Chromebooks to school, and what applications should be preloaded? The Chromebooks were suggested for home use because if we are to at any point need to go remote, that way each child has a device to access school on. And as far as what applications, at this point, I would say Google Classroom and Zoom are the 2 main things that you're going to be utilizing in that situation. And obviously your classroom teachers will give you more information if there's something else that you need. Can we know the teacher names for preschool? So we have 4 preschool classes. We have the pink room with Mrs. Krieger. We have the purple room with Mrs. Pariseau. We have the green room with Mrs. McClay and Mrs. Corsino. And we have the red room with Mrs. Kenton. And we have, assistants in each of those classrooms, but those are the 4 rooms. So when you get your information on where your child is situated, it will be in one of those rooms. Next question. Since some kids aren't aware about the pandemic, will the administration and teachers be sensitive to this? Sue, do you want to speak into the preschool training?
Yes, during this summer, all preschool staff has been trained under EEC. We had to take a lengthy class on reopening and basic guidelines and safety procedures for reopening in order to keep everybody safe. And within the classroom, we'll be talking about this with children. And I have a book that I'm going to be giving you at our Get Acquainted Day, saying going back to school, and you can have that to read to your child. And those are some of the practices that we will be practicing within the classroom. So I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. And then Elaine, if I could ask you to speak to the elementary social emotional curriculum.
Yes. Well, first of all, our children, when we discuss this with children, I was discussing on a very simplistic level because I entrust the parents to tell their children what they would want their children to know. So, when we talk about the sickness, it's a sickness. We talk about it like it's any other sickness. I don't want to instill fear in children. I just want their safety. In the elementary, some of the things that deal with social emotional curriculums, and I told you I would talk more about that as the season went on. I want the teachers to be working on children's feelings. I want them to be working on how to help others, impulse control, hurtful words, bullying, regulating ourselves emotionally, peer pressure, coping skills. Those are all emotional and social pieces that we need the children to be speaking into. They've lost 6 months of some of that interaction with their peers. And these are some of the social skills that they learn when they're together. So I will have a focus in the elementary level on some of those pieces. Does that answer it, Pam?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Will teachers be allowed to hug and comfort the kids or hold their hands like before? And will kids be allowed to hug or touch each other like before? So I think, again, Sue, if you could speak to the preschool
Mhm.
side of things.
I think as far as hugging and comforting kids and holding hands, it's going to be as appropriate. Certainly, we're not going to let a child just stand there crying and not be able to comfort them. You know, we
Yeah.
have to. You know, and as far as within the classroom, you know, part of the story that we're going to be talking about going back to school, you know, it says, "I miss my friends so much. I really want to hug them and play with them, but I know we will both feel safer if I keep my body to myself. My teachers asked me not to share my toys anymore or to keep my snacks and supplies to myself." So it's things like that. They can't share the toys, but they can take turns with the toys, and just all positive feedback to know that they're safe and loved. I don't want any fear instilled on them that they're doing anything wrong, because they're not. These are little children, and we need to love them and guide them.
Great. And Jessica, if you could speak to those things for the elementary ages.
It's the basic same answer, I think, as what Ms. Truja just said. You know, we're not, obviously there's not going to be punishment for this. We will, you know, appropriately talk to them and just explain to them why. We understand that this is a big change for our kids. And so we, you know, not everything will be dealt with appropriately, and it's not a punishable offense to hug your friend, but we will, you know, talk to them about why we need to kind of do things a little bit differently this year.
And I think parents, as with anything else, I think it's just a matter of educating our children on the expectation. I think if they know the expectation, you know, I think they're going to be fine with the changes. I really do, because children are so malleable that they'll learn the classroom expectations quickly.
All right, let's see. Playground. How many times a day will kids go to the playground? At this time, we have scheduled playground times. Elementary will have 1 playground time, and preschool will have 2 times per day. Any changes in playground equipment, or can they play outdoors as they did before? To start the year with, there will be no equipment for the elementary, mostly because the equipment there is so big that we don't feel that we can appropriately keep it cleaned at this point. The preschool is going to be able to use whatever's on their playgrounds, and those will be cleaned in between class uses. Will they still brush their teeth in preschool? Unfortunately, no, we are not able to do that at this time. And finally, this is the final answer, final question on this page, and then we'll open it up to all of you, is will the wall unit AC or fans be turned on? Kristen Baker, would you like to speak into that one?
So any of our classrooms that do have air conditioning are window units, which we draw the air from the outside. Our goal is to keep the windows open at all times. And for our heating system, which is fairly new, less than 5 years old, it was installed. I can't give you an exact date. It's the newer heating system that was put into the public schools also, which pulls the air from the outside. So all of our heating and cooling, the air comes from outside and is not pulled from inside and circulated throughout the classrooms and buildings.
Great. Okay, so let's see. Oops, hit the wrong button. I need to open the chat. There we go. So the chat should be open at this point. If anybody has any questions that they would like to type in there, we will do our best to answer them for you if there are any questions that we haven't already covered.
Also, just a note, this will be posted on our YouTube page, as was the other one. So if you missed any part of this, you can go back and rewatch it.
Okay. Will the fifth graders have their doors opened in the FLC at times for fresh air? Elaine, do you want to?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay.
I think they can open the back doors where there's exits in the back of the gym where they can have open. We're not
Yes.
going to have the front ones open just for security purposes, though.
Great.
Safety. Yeah.
Excellent. Will they still brush their teeth for full-time preschoolers? No, no toothbrushing at all. Will you still be having chapel? Elaine, do you want to speak into that one?
Yeah, our theme this year is we're going to go back to basics, to 10 commandments, and Miss Walton is going to be doing chapel. We still haven't determined the platform she's going to use, but we're working on that. But yes, they will have chapel, they will have art, and they will have music. We're working on the platforms.
Great. When will preschoolers get their teacher assignments? Jessica?
So if you, earlier, Mrs. Strugi mentioned that we are down to 4 preschool rooms. This is different for our school. We've had up to 7 before. So we've had a lot of shifting. And so I do apologize for this being a little bit given to you a little bit later than you're accustomed to. We just needed to make sure we got kids in the right age, the right rooms. And so tomorrow, you should be looking for an email from me tomorrow with your classroom assignments. As well, we'll have information again as to the preschool doors that they will enter and their staggered entry and exit time and their Get Acquainted signups for those days. So tomorrow. Thank
Great.
you for your patience.
Yes. In this, again, probably either Jessica or Elaine, it's about 2nd grade. If the students are separated into 2 classrooms, how will the teaching be performed? I think they're speaking about that overflow room.
Jessica, I'll let you answer that because you've been
Sure,
dealing.
yeah, so 2nd and 3rd grade have only 1 lead teacher and an assistant full-time. So what we have asked of the teachers to do is using that space when you're going to be working with the smaller groups or breaking into, you've done your lesson and then doing your assignment thereafter. It might also, the teachers are playing around with lots of different ideas, I think, too, as how to do it. If one group is reading one particular thing for reading, that would be in one room. If another group is reading something else, and same with math. They will only have that 1 lead teacher. Both Mrs. Burns is with Miss Paredes and Mrs. Ruff is with Miss Stanley of the 3rd grade. Both have great experience in teaching, and so we know that whatever it is that the teachers are assigning them to, maybe if they have to break into those small groups, the small group learning, that we know that they are able to get that across to the children very well. Is that Elaine sound right?
The doors are adjoined.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of spreading the children out.
Yeah. Let's see, where can we find the school supply lists? Those are on Parent Portal under resource documents. Would there be any possibilities of changing the rule of wearing masks from encouraged to required for preschoolers? Sue?
Well, we are all under EEC, the preschool, and according to the EEC, they feel that children should be encouraged but not required. So several of the preschool area classes that I visited in the past couple weeks, some have masks, the whole class has a mask, and some it's half and half. So I think it's up to your individual preference for your child, and that's the decision that we've come down to in according with the EEC.
Great, thank you. Is there any more info on phases, which was mentioned in the first meeting?
Well-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, phase one is the students are back. Phase one is going to have chapel, music and art. Phase two, I'm talking about our cafeteria program and our after school and before care programs. I don't see the cafeteria opening anytime soon. I'm not very comfortable serving food right now, and I'm just being totally frank with you. In this environment, let's see what the first month looks like. Aftercare, we're targeting somewhere in October, if all goes in the right direction. So no, I don't have dates. It's a wait and see. And that's pretty much, I don't want to move too quick too soon, because I want to see how things work. It's almost like trial and error. You want to see how it works.
All right. Let's see. Are we going to get more detailed logistics at the orientation appointment, like amount of snacks or nap mats or drop-off time?
Yes.
You will get the opportunity to talk to your classroom teacher. They will give you a lot more information. Drop-off times and the door to go in, all of that will be available tomorrow to you when you get your assignments. But as far as all those details, absolutely, that's a conversation for the classroom teacher. They'll have all of that for you.
I don't know, can Misha answer the question about the purchasing of the rest mats this year? No, you can't unmute yourself. Hold on.
I tried.
Oh,
There you
there you go.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
Yeah.
Sorry. When the class assignments go out tomorrow, there will be a link provided that you can click on to purchase a mat. You'll input your information, your child's name, their room assignment, and pay the $20 right there online. We'll collect all of those, label your mat, and deliver it to the class for you.
Great, thank you. If a student has to quarantine individually and not the whole class, what is the plan to educate that student for the 2 weeks? I don't know, Jessica or Elaine, if one of you wanted to.
We're working on it. We purchased our first monitor and first camera to go into grade 2. And if that works, I'm going to do the same in 2, 3, 4, 5, if that student is out. For now, we could educate that child on Zoom. We've had meetings where Mrs. Bishop has been at home and the rest of us have been in my office, and it has still worked out well with the Zoom. So, but I would like to get the monitors up and running and the cameras up and running.
In that situation, we would utilize, greatly utilize the assistants in those rooms.
Right.
To make sure that those children are still receiving
Instruction.
the structure for the day. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I saw a question about Toddler Town. Did that come up?
I don't think I've gotten to that one yet. I'm still working down.
Okay, I won't jump to that.
The biggest benefit of wearing masks is not to protect yourself, but to protect others. Will you reconsider requiring masks for kindergarten kids?
It can be a discussion, but I have had a lot of parents that don't want their children in masks. And the reason hasn't been required is because of the age of the children and the limited amount of COVID for that age. So it hasn't been recommended by either EEC or DESE at that age. So yes, we will reconsider. I will have a discussion tomorrow with my admin team. We can talk more about it. I'm certainly always want to be open to any suggestions you have, but I have had pushback from parents at that level.
Okay. Let's see. Are the kindergarten classrooms divided in 2 with 5 on each side? No, they are not. Jessica, do you want to speak into the classroom setup a little bit for kindergarten?
Yeah. So the classroom is the same size as all our other classrooms. They're really large. And there's only right now 10 children assigned. in those rooms. They have tables divided in two with plexiglass dividing both sides of that table. And so, with that, they are just all in one group throughout the day, but there is plenty of room in the kindergarten rooms to be spread out. So there was also, I think you might have skipped a question about, we talked about the plastic rest mats, and kindergartners still need it for the afternoon as well. And I'm unsure of the $15 cash in the school supplies for the first day of school. I think each grade might be a little bit different. I don't know, Misha, if you know.
The mats are $20 if they're asking about the mats. There is a classroom fee for some of the classes. First through fifth grade have a $10 classroom fee. I'm going to be setting up a link so that you can pay that online as well. They might also be referring to headphones for computer class, which we are not currently having, so we wouldn't charge that until the class begin.
Will parents get an opportunity to meet the elementary teachers? Again, Jessica, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so on the 31st, there will be a virtual Get Acquainted Day for grades 1 through 5. You'll be receiving that link from your classroom teacher.
Great. I'm going to ask Kristen, I'm going to ask you to answer this one. When dropping off, is there something that is shown to the staff at drop-off indicating the COVID form was completed, or is it just verbally indicated that the form was completed online?
So I'm pretty sure our plan is to have a printout daily of, at say 8 o'clock is our time stamp, and we will solidify that with you. If you filled it out by chance after 8 o'clock and it's not on our printed form, we would ask you to hold up your phone showing that you completed that, and it would have a timestamp on it. But if you do it before 8, we have it right in front of us and we can see you and you're good to go.
Great, thank you. So if it remains encouraged for wearing masks, will teachers help wearing and taking off masks for preschoolers? They can still be a bit young to do it by themselves. Yes, of course. The teachers are going to, as always, go above and beyond and do everything that they need to do to help children. Okay, Elaine, here it is. Any update on the toddler building?
The toddler building, that was an exciting question when I saw it there. Update on the toddler. We have all of our paperwork into the EEC. We're just waiting for the license in the mail. Everything over there is ready. We're ready for our toddlers. You're going to love the room. I mean, I'm so excited. I want to spend a day a week sitting over there with your children. I have no date, though, as of yet. We're waiting to hear. We are starting in the yellow room at Mount Hope, and that room looks very beautiful too. But they will begin there. I'm going to say to you, I pray it's going to be under a month before we get over there.
Yeah, we all can't wait. We're just all, we're all going to want to be in the toddler room. It's so fun over there. Okay, let's see. How many kids are there for Pink Room? Again, it's going to depend on the day. It's going to depend on, we don't have that information available for you at this time.
And it will change in an hour.
Yeah.
Because that's what's been happening. So the information I give you now will change by tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we do, you know, as in, like, if I were to go back to last year's, you know, we always said that 20 was what we'd say, EEC said our 20 was the cap. And so, you know, let's say on a Wednesday, you have 20 kids in the room. Sometimes the class enrollment, though, could be up to 24, 25 kids because of how we let our parents schedule their day. We're trying to keep that number lower, as Mrs. Trugy mentioned earlier, really, you know, cap it lower than that and have, you know, 9 and 9 on each side on the highest days. But, you know, we still have some days in all the preschool rooms that might be only 12 kids or whatever. It just depends. You know, the trend has remained that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are some of our higher days and Monday, Fridays are lower. But our classrooms are or as noted by the fact that we only have 4 rooms this year, we have a lot less preschoolers in our building this year.
I have those numbers in front of me now, Jess. I don't know if they've changed, but these are the numbers as of 8:34 this morning in the pink room. Monday is 13, Tuesday 17, Wednesday 16, Thursday 17, Friday 8. Now that has probably changed. I would say to you, I would be very sure to tell you that has changed from this morning to now.
Yeah.
It has. Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Will the school be able to provide a mask if the one that they have gets dirty or soiled? Absolutely. We have masks in the building for children that may need them. I also believe that, I'm sorry, Misha, were you trying to?
I was just going to say, I can tell you exactly how many masks we have in the building. We have 6,050 masks in the building right now. There will be no shortage if a child needs another one.
But we did ask on their supply list for each child to bring 2 backup masks as well. So they have the one that they show up in the morning, and then 2 more that will be at the school in case anything happens.
Yeah.
Break.
Even if it's not dirty, if they just want to change it up. Yeah. Let's see. So this one is pretty specific from Pablo K. Jessica, I'm going to ask you if I'm not planning to take my child to the classroom for now until I see how the situation evolves, but he's still registered, can I still get the classroom materials? If you could perhaps send an email to Jessica Bishop, and then she can handle that and correspond with you from there. And Jess, I don't know if you're familiar with the child.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, if you
Okay, perfect. If you
J
could-
Bishop at mounthope.org, and just make sure the word Mount is spelled out.
Thank you. All right, it looks like that's all of our questions. Okay, Elaine, if you want to wrap things up.
Well, I will wrap it up. It's been a pleasure to serve you this evening, and we're always there to answer any of your questions. None of them too small, believe me. We're here for you, and I just want to thank you for attending this evening, and I'm looking very forward to next week. God bless all of you.
All right, thank you.